Listen to what Bill Clinton says on the PBS NewsHour.
I think the norms have really changed in terms of what you can do to somebody against their will, how much you can crowd their space, make them miserable at work. You don't have to physically assault somebody to make them, uncomfortable at work or at home or in their utter just walking around.
All right, we've got a lot to talk about here. Alex Jones is going to be joining us here shortly. Roger and I were speaking during the break. You've got this new attorney general in New York. She's trying to shut down the Trump administration, Barbara Underwood. Imagine my shock, Roger. Not only is this a woman that worked for Bill Clinton and George Bush, but she's a graduate of Harvard Law, just like the rest of them. I know. Imagine my shock.
Well, recognize that this woman was selected by the legislature for an appointment that nobody wanted, because everyone understood that the imprimatur of being an elected state official in New York State would be poison if you wanted to run for this office. This investigation into the Trump Foundation was cooked up under Eric Schneiderman, who was trying to use his attacks on Trump to build the basis for a gubernatorial campaign of his own. And how ironic that she announces this at the exact same time that the Inspector General's report is being released. How coincidental. This is just pure, raw politics.
Well, and it's just amazing to me that the Trump Foundation now is the target of an investigation, but the Clinton Foundation, which has been operating for decades, who knows where these funds are going? I mean, who knows what happens to all that money for the Haitians? We do know where Chelsea Clinton Hubble got her wedding dress, thanks to your donations. But no investigation into that, Roger.
Well, in fact, Haitian American groups have repeatedly asked the New York Attorney General to look into the activities of the Clinton Foundation in Haiti, and they have refused because it's not politically correct. But if you can bash Donald Trump and his children and his family, even though his foundation gave out essentially more money than they took in, with the president himself subsidizing it, no, that's politically, perfect.
Well, they were so broke, though, Roger. I mean, they both said it. They were broke when they left the White House. In fact, they were so broke that they had to steal the silverware and the furniture right from the White House grounds.
And were forced to return it, all of which you can read, of course, about in the Clintons' war on women. It's amazing to me the way the Clintons want to relitigate everything from the beginning. Monica, that's about infidelity and indiscretion. No, it isn't. The issue here is rape, violence against women. It's outrageous that Juanita Broaddrick's book suddenly disappears from Kindle, can no longer be purchased.
Wow.
The cover-up just continues here. And they want to keep redefining this again and again as if the American people didn't figure it out in the last election.
Well, I think we're breaking their backs now, because we just did the protest of Bill Clinton here, where we had dozens of people outside protesting. We had 5 infiltrators that got into the event that shouted down Bill Clinton. You had another gentleman do it in Philadelphia. I think Clinton's last book tour date is actually today. I'm not sure where he is. But I think that he's really starting to break. Listen to this clip, Roger. This is pretty incredible that Bill Clinton would admit this. Again, I think it's just a sign that he really is breaking down. Listen to what Bill Clinton says on the PBS NewsHour.
I think the norms have really changed in terms of what you can do to somebody against their will, how much you can crowd their space, make them miserable at work. You don't have to physically assault somebody to make them uncomfortable at work or at home or in their utter just walking around.
What? I mean, what is that?
That's incredible. So in other words, it used to be okay to assault women, but today it's not? Is that what he's saying? Look, this is a guy who bit through the upper lip of his victims. This is a guy who forced himself, exposed himself, and raped multiple women. And he keeps trying to redefine it for us, like just because they were able to contain it in the 80s, it cannot be contained anymore. And no, attitudes have not changed. Rape was wrong then, rape is wrong now.
It's incredible that Hollywood and the Democrats, and, okay, you look at the Democrats and you can really just point out Bill Clinton. I mean, because they protected him for so long. the list can go on. There's Republicans on that too. But the Democrats are the ones that virtue signal for women. Hollywood is the group that virtue signals for women. All the Me Too originates in Hollywood and at Bill Clinton's Oval Office, Roger. I mean, how do these people get away with it? And then they actually get people to go pay hundreds of dollars to see Bill Clinton speak.
What's the amazing thing is that Democrats must cringe every time they see one of the Clintons approach a TV camera. They just wish they would ride off into the sunset with their stolen money. But obviously it's not enough. I mean, Bill is estimated to be worth somewhere around $300 million. His son, Danny Williams, works in a meatpacking plant by day and at a 7-Eleven at night to make ends meet for his 5 children, while his father is worth $300 million.
That we know of.
These people have no shame.
Well, and Danny Williams is actually going to be joining me on the War Room, and you later on the War Room as well, 3 to 6 p.m. Central here, and we're going to celebrate Father's Day. We're going to see if Bill Clinton is ready to celebrate Father's Day with his son, Danny Williams. Really, Bill Clinton's only offspring that we know of. I mean, Chelsea Hubble, you know, that doesn't really count. So
I really think if nothing else, Bill Clinton may have learned this week that it's time for him to come off the circuit. I suspect he wakes up every morning and wonders, gee, I wonder where Laura Loomer is today. I don't think he can pull this off anymore. It's just not working. And his weak denials, defenses are pathetic.
Well, he did have to cancel at least one of his book tour events. I'm not sure if it was more than that, but he did have to cancel at least one. Meanwhile, though, the Democrats are saying it's time for Obama to return from the sidelines. But see, I think Obama, unlike the Clintons, is actually a little more savvy now, and he realizes that he is much better off behind the scenes, much better off not showing his face, not making public comment, because he actually is under so much scrutiny for all the illegality and unethics that happened in his administration.
The obvious question regarding the dossier that was used, a fabricated dossier that was used to rationalize the surveillance of the Republican candidate for president, a question that is raised by Peter Strzok's text message is simple. What did the president know, and when did he know it? Sooner or later, he ought to be required to sit before Congress under oath and answer that question. It looks to me like the old Italian saying, a fish rots from the head. And it looks to me like he has culpability in the biggest political scandal in American history, something that makes Watergate look like second-rate burglary.
And hopefully this all makes a headway sometime, and the president addresses this with I think, legal active, you know, something needs to happen to these people, whether it's somebody going to jail, whether it's at least starting with a testimony under oath. I mean, that would be nice if they could just get somebody to testify under oath about what truly started the spying onto the Trump campaign, because they admit that that happened now, Roger. So they can't put that cat back in the bag, as many different terms that they want to use. Oh, it was just an intelligence resource. Oh, that was just an officer. Oh, he was helping Trump. Give me a break. Give me a break. Nobody is buying that. So we'll see if it all comes out. But the Inspector General report is set to launch soon, and it will most likely show how James Comey was, well, let's just say not behaving fairly.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Gonna hit me? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Now we are introducing a new t-shirt, which I think folks need to get, telling the real truth about Bill Clinton, who is a serial rapist and a abuser of women.
In another case, it's about groping and fondling and touching against a woman's will. And rape. And rape.
Bill rapes them physically, and then Hillary rapes them psychologically.
He's a rapist.
Absolutely.
He's a public figure and go straight to hell.
Get your Bill Clinton rape shirt today at InfoWarsStore.com or call 1-888-253-3139.